Hey, welcome to the podcast. My name is Eric Ortina. I'm your host. I have been a competitive long-range shooter for over a decade now, but I'm still in learning mode. That's the reason that I started this podcast, because I want to talk to people that I can pick their brains and learn something from. Now, why did I call it Believe the Target? Well, the target is really the only one that tells the truth. There's many ideas, many theories, many experts. However, the target ultimately decides who's right. If you're not subscribed to this podcast, make sure you subscribe right now. Go give it a like, and let's get started. Dude, you got me going down a freaking rabbit hole. Why didn't you warn me?
My bad, brother. My bad. That's all I could say.
Holy crap. Don Jones, man. Airforce Airguns.
Thanks for having me on, bro, even after I did this to you.
So we met at SHOT Show, and you guys had that beautiful red rifle that I just had to have. And I didn't realize, it's a pellet gun, right? Like in my head, it's like, oh, it's a pellet gun. I've had pellet guns before. This one, I just don't have to pump it. That's awesome. Yeah. And holy crap. I mean, I've shot it, you guys, I'm sure you've seen the videos on my
Love
channel.
them.
And of course, I screwed up the first one by not airing it up. I just saw what it was when I got it. And I'm like, oh, just keep it there. And it turns out the manual, once I opened it up, I realized, oh, it says 250. Son of a gun.
Yeah.
250 bar. But anyway, after we got past that, it shoots really good.
I kind of hung you out to dry a little bit with here, go ahead, bro. Have some fun.
I am having fun. That's the thing about it. I am having fun. I want to make sure that everybody knows that. It's freaking fun. I love the fact that I can just take it in the backyard and just shoot, But, here's the but. My background. I think my background is getting in the way a lot because I like shooting small groups. And, 50 yards. I've shot smaller groups at 1,000 yards than what I was shooting at 50.
Yes.
You figure I'd be okay with it, but I wasn't. And the comment section has been extremely helpful. There's a lot of helps, a lot of people helping. And, of course, I ignored most of them, and I just called you directly and said, hey, dude, what am I doing wrong? And you're like, well, you got to air it up. I'm like, oh, you telling me that air gun needs air?
The proper amount of air?
Yeah. So, but yeah, second time that I took it out, man, that thing was shooting tiny knots. And of course, everything that I know so far has been correlating, for example, the weight sorting and this and that. And, now it was only one group. I gotta shoot some more, but so far I'm happy with it. So what is a barrel tuner? A barrel tuner is a device that attaches to the end of the barrel that allows you to tune the barrel harmonics in order to shrink your groups as best as possible. There are multiple types. Here at Cortina Precision, we have what we call the next generation Easy Tuner Brake. This is a tuner and a muzzle brake combined. Now, if you're simply looking for a barrel tuner for your, let's say, rimfire rifle or even an air rifle, then the Easy Tuner V2 is probably going to be the best option for you. This tuner uses a spring to eliminate backlash and provide the most repeatable results. In order for you to attach it to your rifle, you can either have the barrel threaded by a gunsmith to attach the tuner directly, but that requires an inch 250 barrel, or you can use one of our adapters. These adapters come threaded in multiple different threads, half 20, half 28, 3/4 24. So you can attach this tuner to just about any barrel out there, including your rimfire or your air rifle. Visit shootsmallgroups.com, go to our store, and take a look around. Also, you can go on YouTube and search for Easy Tuner, and you'll see a lot of videos out there that show what our tuners can do for you.
I have a lot of friends that shoot centerfire, and when I bring out one of my air rifles, it is amusing to me, and it's actually quite fun because they grab a hold of the air rifle, whether it is a 177, 22, 25, all the way up to our 457, and they're used to shooting centerfire or BB guns, the old-fashioned BB guns, and they're not used to something in between. And the way I try to explain it to them is an air rifle, a PCP, pre-charged pneumatic air rifle, these days shoots in the equivalent trajectory-wise as a 300 blackout subsonic. That's the best way to explain it. Projectile-wise, arc-wise, everything, that's about how it works. And trying to hit a target downrange with that and hold a group is about the same. And it drives them nuts until they get used to it. And I just sit back. At first, I let them get used to the trigger pull because that most precision shooters like the trigger pull. And just getting used to the gun, then coming off reg, shooting it at the higher pressures, then getting your shot group, getting used to it. You shoot so many times, and all of a sudden you realize you've dropped an air pressure, and now you're no longer on your regulated shots. And all of a sudden you're off. Like, what the hell just happened? Or you get the pellet or slug that's slightly different, and you get a flyer, and just watching the progression of learning a new gun, for me, it's great. I like watching it. I like getting people into the air rifle sport. But it's also, I enjoy the fact of bringing people from the centerfire world back into the air gun world. Now I got a lot of centerfire friends that are using it, the air guns, as practice, as a cheaper way to practice for their centerfire matches. And they enjoy it.
I'm enjoying it. I'll tell you that much. It's fun. It's just I don't have expectations, right? Like, I don't know what a air gun is supposed to do. Now I know I can look and find out, but it's fun, and I just want to keep it that way. I don't want to get it into the kind of what F-class is to me nowadays, where it's a job, it's work. I want it to be fun, and I want to be able to get out there. I order me some. I'm gonna order me. I order some paper targets with like silhouettes and stuff. I just wanna. Me and the guys here at the shop to just get out there and have a little competition. Nothing more. Just have fun.
See, and that is the way it should be. When I go to a lot of these competitions, and people take it very serious, and more power to them. If they want to take it serious, like, you're a professional shooter, you compete on a professional level, and that there's a whole different class and skill that when it comes to centerfire, I do not have, and I don't have the discipline to do that. In air guns, I still compete on a professional level, but I still do not compete at the level that some of my competitors do. Like, I'll throw a scope on the day of competition. I will be tuning my gun when the clock starts. I'll be sighting in, and it drives my buddies nuts. They're like, "Hey, do you have your gun sighted in?" I said, "No, when the clock starts, I'll sight it in on bench. I'll bury a couple in the cardboard and get my zero." They're all, "What's your dope?" I said, "I don't know. I'll tell you when I get there." For me, I still shoot for fun. I'm not going for top prizes. I don't want to make this sport so serious where I don't have fun anymore. And that's what I'm enjoying with you, is the fact you're doing it for fun. And that's what I think it should be for more people. I think the airgun world should be for fun. I go out with Shooter 1721. Me and him do trick shots and goof off. And we do it for fun because that's what we enjoy. We don't want it to be so serious that it's no longer fun anymore. And the exploration of what these guns can do is part of the enjoyment.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm at the stage, and of course I've been talking to Joe from What's it, JSB, the
Yeah,
bullet,
Predator
the
pellets.
pellets. I keep calling them bullets, the pellets. Uh, and he's like, "Oh, you want to try this?" And and I'm reading the comments and like, "Oh, you need to try slugs, and you got to try this, and you got to try match pellets." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe, but not just yet." I wanna. So, like I said, I went online and I ordered paper targets that have little chickens and turkeys and all that, and uh, I think that's what I'm gonna do for a while. Just bring the guys from the shop and say, "Come on, have a little match," and be like, "Okay, maybe shoot everything prone because you got to do a mag change and maybe put it on put on the clock. You get a minute or something, and just make it fun and make it entertaining. And I just want to get a shooting good enough that we can do that, and then worry about the rest later.
That's exactly it. Have fun with it. And when we bring my friends out to shoot, we'll have, just like you said, little targets with different sizing, and we'll even go get a deck of playing cards and use the hearts and the clubs 1 through 5, and we'll just take them out and draw cards, and that's what you have to shoot. You have to shoot each one of the suits and play cards out on the targets. Stick them up double-sided tape, and you play cards and do a mag
Yeah.
change in between. We just have fun with it, and it's nothing too serious. Like, oh, okay, the loser buys lunch, and it has to be from the dollar menu. I mean, it's we do it to have fun. Even our fun shoots, it's trick shots, goofing off, and we want this sport and hobby to remain a sport and a hobby. If it gets so serious that it's no longer fun, then that's when I'll move on. I mean, I put these air guns together and build them out because I enjoy it. I really do love it. I came from the film and television industry, and that got so serious and stressful. It paid really well, but it wasn't worth the time and stress. I came to this industry because I can take my kids out in the backyard and get outside and enjoy nature, shoot targets, spend time with them outdoors and play, and have that one-on-one time and do family stuff outside, not spend a lot of money on ammo, and enjoy it, and not be so like, I see people compete where everything is so serious that everything's coming down. There's so much stress involved. They make themselves sick, and that's what I don't want in the sport and the competition. For some people, that's great. That's what they want. But I like to have fun, and I like to goof off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, why not? Now, the rifle that I have, air gun. I gotta quit calling it a rifle because every time I type rifle in the subject line, YouTube demonetizes it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
it's just a freaking air gun. But anyway, that air gun that I got, that's the HM1000X, correct?
yes, correct.
Now I threw it in a Masterpiece Arms chassis, so I mean this thing is built like a PRS bench setup, right?
Correct.
Now, uh, now that I'm kind of been checking out some of these air rifle stuff, air gun videos on YouTube and everything, I'm starting to see a lot of people that are hunting with them. Like there's some lady down in Florida that hunts iguanas with it.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed me out to that video. Uh, what Walk me through your line of air guns. Like for example, if I want to build one, or if I want to get one that I just want to go and just hunt with it, something I can carry around easily, what would be the way to go?
There's multiple different lines like that. I've hunted iguanas, and what we can do is we have the Airforce line, which is the utility line. The single shot, everything from the Talon P, really short, about the size of the micro. That goes from 177, 20 cal, 22, and 25. That's our utility line in the Air Force air guns. And that starts out in the Talon, Talon P, Talon SS, which is integrally moderated. The slightly larger for longer distance, which is the Condor. And then the Condor SS, which is also integrally moderated. And then the survival line, which I helped design, which is the Escape. Maximum power, lightweight, longer range. Now with the Talon models, you're looking at short range, small game, 50 yards and under, powerhouse. And that will take down small game. You're looking at 50 yards and under hunting iguanas, 50, 60 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. But you can also tune it down to about 15 to 20 foot-pounds of muzzle energy because they're completely adjustable and tunable. So you can make it backyard quiet and friendly all the way up to when you're able to take our air guns and tune them with just a side wheel or a valve cap and take it from that 15 foot-pounds of muzzle energy all the way up to 60, it makes it very nice for the shooter because if you want to go iguana hunting and you're doing close range backyard iguana hunting in Florida, you don't need 60 foot-pounds of muzzle energy to take down an iguana. You can do it easily with the 15 to 20 foot-pounds of muzzle energy at 20 yards, and that's what they do in Florida. Now, if you want to be popping raccoons or nuisance animals at 50 yards and you want to make sure you have maximum penetration and takedown power, you crank that side wheel up to 60 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, and now you can take them out at 50 with the Talons and the Talon P. With the Condors and the Condor SS, you get the 80 to 90 foot-pounds, and that's stretching it out to about 100 yards, and that's the medium game. And even with the Escape, you can get 110 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. And that's a lot of power. We've taken coyotes with it at 100. And that's a beast. That's a survival backpack, 10 shots over 1,000 feet per second with a 25 cal pellet. That is the ultimate in survival air guns. Then once you get past the Airforce utility line, we have the big bore, which is 257, 308, 357, 457, and 510 caliber air guns. Those are the Airforce big bores, all the way up to 510. Yeah, and that's 850 foot-pounds of muzzle energy.
Wow.
So yeah, we're shooting slugs that are 620 grain slugs.
Wow.
Out of a 50 cal projectile, out of a 50 caliber air gun. So we have an air gun for pretty much every need, from the backyard shooter that's popping tin cans and paper all the way to someone that wants to hunt African big game. Then when you get into the precision line, the repeaters is our rapid air line, the raw or Rapid Airworks, which you have, the raw. That is a precision rifle for target shooting, or we have a lot of ranchers. Oh, the light goes out. The ranchers that like to buy them. Sorry, my light goes out all the time. No movement. The ranchers like to buy these guns for bird abatement, removing birds, pests, where they can take the pests off their ranches, off their farms accurately. I mean, we have a rancher that's down the road here in Texas that pops rats at 100 yards out of his milk barn. Just sits there with his moderated raw and pops rats out of the cattle barn where he has his milking cows. And he has a thermal on it and sits there. He's 72 years old. He says, there's nothing better than sitting in your old metal lawn chair at 11 o'clock at night with a cigar and a coffee and your gun on a bipod or a tripod and just popping rats. And he just goes to town. He sends me little video clips. I'll get messages between 11 o'clock at night and 2 o'clock in the morning of him shooting rats in his cattle barn with the raw. And it's hilarious because he just shoots all night long, removing pests accurately. Then you could take the micro hunter, which is our even more compact, this little guy, and you could take this little guy out and do iguana hunting with it in Florida. This is our 22 micro hunter. And anything under 50 yards, you could take that and go get iguanas. So we have something for everybody. And we build air rifles for the hunters, for the target shooters, for the competitors, for everybody's needs. We like to take the time to listen to the consumer and work with what their requests are and build to their needs, and then go overboard.
It looks that way, man. 510. What did you say? What did you say?
510. It's a 510 caliber, 620 grain.
Wow! Holy crap! What do they hunt with those things? You said big game?
Yeah, I've taken oryx. I've taken nilgai. We've had people take buffalo. We've had people take African big game. There's not much you can't take.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't. Holy crap. I don't know who decides they're going to take an air rifle to go hunt buffalo, but I guess they do.
We've been in South Texas quite a bit. I was on a hunt with a 457 carbine, and a guy had a chance to take a water buffalo, and he had his 4570, and he said, "Know what? Let me take your carbine." And I said, "You're going to go brush hunt a water buffalo?" He's like, "You only live once." I said, "But do you want it to end today?" And he said, "It's worth a try." This guy jumped out of the Jeep and brush hunted a water buffalo and took it down at 60. It was just under 65 yards. Dropped a water buffalo with a 457 Texan.
Wow.
I was like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, this came out of ballistic gel.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's pretty good expansion right there.
Oh yeah, we test our slugs very well.
Wow. Well, that's crazy, man. I don't want to do that. Not the buffalo. I mean, not with air guns. Not yet, anyway. Maybe one day.
We'll get you there.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Hey, just remember, I'm slower than you, so I'll be the first one that goes down.
I mean, like I said, I can see how this is just so practical, especially now that I have I bought an air compressor and I bought an air tank, and now I'm thinking, oh man, I can just get me an air gun now and then just go to the ranch and walk around with like that micro hunter you were just showing.
God, yeah.
Dude, that'd be so fun just to walk around and just carry that thing with you and shoot just critters and pests and things of that nature. Take the kids out, and there's a pond out there. Have them shoot turtles and snakes and stuff.
It's one of my 3-year-old. He's about to turn 4. On the weekends, he wakes me up. I make breakfast. He goes and gets what he calls his shooting glasses. He puts his shooting glasses and his ear protection on, and waits by the door for me to go out to get all the targets ready for him to go shoot in the backyard. And he will sit there till lunchtime with the micro and just target practice. My 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, and it is, you can have them sit in the house and play video games and watch TV, or I take them, my 3-year-old and my 6-year-old, we go magnet fishing and we go target practicing. It's great times.
Magnet fishing. You're not fishing for magnets, are you?
Now we
That's
take
when
it.
you throw a magnet in the water and then you see what you can find.
Yep, my kids call it fishing for pirate treasure.
What's the coolest thing you found?
Uh, they think the coolest thing we found was 2 pocket knives and a microphone. Oh, and a change purse. We found a change purse with about $12 in change.
There you go.
And the kids were so happy because we went to Dairy Queen and we bought ice cream. I found revolvers. We found a safe that was empty, but we found all kinds of stuff. But every time they find anything, it's pirate treasure. But they were so happy over the pocket knives and a microphone, a karaoke microphone.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just something you don't expect to see in the bottom of a river.
Yeah, and they were just so happy in the Brazos River, and we were out magnet fishing, and we got fishing lures and everything. I mean, we have a fish tank at the house that every time they get a fishing lure, they toss it in there. I'm like,
yeah. Right. Well, it's fun. All right, so tell me what do I need to do next? You kind of seen my video, see where I'm at. What should I do? I mean, I've been told that I need to get a regulator. Is that something I need to look into?
No, not yet.
Not ever.
I have a regulator, but your gun is regulated. You're set at 145 bar. So
okay.
As long as your air volume is above 145 bar, so you're shooting, your fill pressure is 250 bar. So if you're
right.
250, as long as your pressure does not drop below, I don't drop mine below 150 bar.
Okay.
I stay on the reg, so you're shooting on the reg the whole time. Your standard deviation is going to be between 3 and 5 feet per second.
Okay.
And when I am shooting competition, I weigh my pellets just to keep the standard deviation down even more. What I do is once I figure out a grain weight and a pellet that works great, I work with, you have the barrel tuner. I play with the tuning. I have a muzzle brake and I have a suppressor. I work with what length suppressor or muzzle brake works the best for tuning my shot. Because whether you have the barrel tuner, if you take that off and put a suppressor on, it's going to change your point of impact.
Right.
If you put a muzzle brake, figure out what works the best for you. If you're in the MPA chassis, that thing is a tank. You were in one of the most stable platforms out there. I mean, at this point, it's all fine tuning. You have a tuning window in the back for adjusting your hammer spring and your hammer, your tension. You can adjust that for velocity, very fine tune, and you can actually tune your shot even more. After you get done tuning it for velocity, once you get it close, then you throw it over the chronograph. Make sure your velocities are where you want it, and you'll find the sweet spot. You'll find a velocity that works the best for you. And you'll be hole on hole at 100.
Wow.
And
don't say that, because if I'm not, then...
Dude, then I will come down there personally, and we will split playing cards at 100.
Wow. Oh, man.
We will literally go down there, and I have them here somewhere. We will split playing cards. We will pop lifesavers at 100.
Wow. Wow. I wish you hadn't said that, because now I have to do it.
I know.
All right. So you talk about competitions. I like to compete. What should I be looking at as far as competitions go?
There's a bunch of competitions out there. Because I'm fat and lazy and I like to sit at a bench, I do the bench rest competitions, but they can be one of the most frustrating. People will you sit at bench, you have to make sure you're shooting 25 targets in 30 minutes, as many setters as you want. That's a 100-yard bench rest, and it can be the most frustrating event in the world. I like that event. At RMAC last year, I was shooting in downpour rain, 15 to 25 mile an hour gusts, and I enjoyed every minute of it. It was absolutely amazing. There is PRS. I'm fat and awkward. I can't climb on top of fire trucks in and out of these little obstacles they have going. I'm 6'3", 300 pounds. I'm not made to slide into these little tight, narrow spots they have. That's for the healthy people. They have steel scramble, speed silhouette. There's a lot of field target they have, which is a really fun event. I'll be competing that at Pyramid Cup next week. I'll be competing in bench rest and field target next week at Pyramid Cup. Those are both really fun. So no matter what your discipline is at the airgun competitions, there's always something there for you. And then there's always the big bore slug challenge, where you get your big bore air rifle and the targets go anywhere from 50 yards out to 400.
Wow.
And you're 2 shots on target, varying ranges, back and forth. They'll call them out, and you get 2 chances to hit each target. And you are literally throwing lead out to 400. I think the last one was 395 with the 17-degree angle.
Wow. Well, that sounds fun.
It is a blast. And
Yeah.
it's just amazing to see everybody, and it's great because I'll spot for one of the cool things I like about the competitions is even some of the most competitive guys there will work together. Like John Bagakis, he's on a competing team, and he spots for me and I spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's cool.
even though we're competitors, we help each other out. We'll call out yardages, we'll call out everything, and we work as a team. Even though we're on separate teams, we help each other, and that's part of it. We're happy if one of each other win, but he always seems to get me by like 1 or 2 points. Always beats me by 1 or 2 points, but I want to get him. But that's because he practices and I put my scope on the night before competition. But the dude's great. I mean, he will literally sit there and call out yardages, spot for me. Hey, you're MOA low, or you just 6 inches off target, and he will spot for me, and I'll change spot for him, carry tanks, and it's really cool, the camaraderie that's in the sport that you don't see in a lot of others. Is you'll get support from other teams, and they'll help each other out. That's part of the fun part about this airgun world.
You
Pretty badass.
mentioned one thing I want to ask you is about scopes. Is do they require special scopes or just about any scope?
The PCP scopes do not require the special scopes. Now, the springers or the spring piston or the brake barrels do, because they have what they refer to as the reverse recoil, where you could take a Collis, you could take a Night Force, you can put a US Optics on it and blow out the front lens in a couple shots. Because most guns were built for a certain type of recoil. The shock is coming back with spring pistons, all the shock is going the opposite direction out the front. And these scopes were never made for it, and you'll blow them out. So if you do not have a specialty scope for the spring piston or the brake barrels, you will destroy that scope really quick. But for the PCP, the biggest thing I could recommend is something that'll parallax down as low as possible in that 11 to 15 yard parallax and out as far as it'll go.
I got lucky, or I don't know if lucky is the word. I just happen to have, an extra scope that I use on my F-class rifles, and it goes down to 8 yards. And I'm thinking, yes, because you had told me that before.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. When I watched your video, I did have a little scope envy. Ain't gonna lie. You put up that picture, I was like, damn. Then I saw the video, I was like, crap. I got scope envy. Bad. I was like, man. That thing's
well,
sick.
I mean, we use that for 1,000 yards, but I was like, man, that thing goes down to 8 yards. Let's throw it on here, and sure enough, man, it worked great. I mean, the target at 50 yards is like right here. When I don't even max it out.
Yeah, I just want to go down there just so I could look through that glass.
Come on, man, anytime.
I was like,
you know it,
bro.
So these competitions, how many people usually show up to these matches?
Competitors, about 250 competitors, if not more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So they're big matches.
Yeah. Prize pool goes anywhere. We've had prize pools upwards of 20 G's. First place at this next one, I think, is 7,500 for first. It pays out to 15th place.
You had me at prize pool.
Yeah.
We don't even have that in F class.
Yeah. You don't go to a prize
forget
table.
the amount. Forget the amount. Oh,
yeah,
man.
You don't go to a table and pick out a prize. You do in some events, but like bench rest, you get like this Pyramid Cup. I think first place is 7,500, 15th is $100. And then Steel Scramble, Gunslinger is, I think it's like $1,000. I could be wrong on that one. Most people focus on bench rest, but yeah, there's PRS at RMAC, I think was like 10 grand and up. It pays.
Yeah, I was talking to Justin from Utah Airguns, and he said some of his matches paid 20 grand.
Yeah, some of his matches pay 20 G's.
Wow, that's crazy. So now let's talk about the legalities of air guns, because they are not a gun, correct?
Nope, they are not a gun. They are not a rifle in the traditional sense.
Right.
You are not producing a projectile by form of explosive powder.
Okay, so it's not pretty much it's not a gun.
Nope, because when you break it down, you're not putting a projectile downrange by use of force of an explosive powder.
Okay.
There's no explosion. There's no chemical combustion. There's nothing. It is air.
It's a blowgun, right?
Yep.
With more pressure.
You're putting it downrange with air. There's no chemical reaction to make a projectile go downrange. There are some states that do regulate it. New York, certain parts of New York has regulations. Certain countries have regulations that restrict. Certain states have regulations on hunting, but there's more and more states are opening up hunting to air guns because they're realizing these are not the BB guns of the 1970s.
Right.
Technology has gone leaps and bounds from grandpa's BB gun. And air guns have come a long way to be definitely the right air gun can be a definitely an ethical way of take of an animal.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty amazed what just the one that I have can do. It's pretty crazy. Now, let me talk about you for a little bit. How do you go from Hollywood to air guns? How did that happen? Because they seem to be not connected.
I grew up in Mojave Desert, California, outside of Edwards Air Force Base. Back when California was hunting and fishing friendly, chasing wildlife. Father was military, traveled all over the U.S., military base to military base. I grew up hunting and fishing, and the first way you can go hunting and fishing was my grandfather made us learn to shoot and firearm safety with an air gun. We were not allowed to go hunting until we can show that we were responsible enough with an old Benjamin Silver Streak. We would have to set out an oil can at 5 feet. We'd load it with a 20 cal air rifle and you'd shoot it. You'd have to hit it 5 times, then you'd step back a few steps until you were about 50 feet away. And if you could hit it 5 times at 50 feet with this air gun, then he'd take you to the stock pond. And you'd take a marshmallow and you'd throw it out in the stock pond, and you're supposed to hit it while it's floating in the stock pond. And if you could hit that, he'd throw another one out, and he'd take his foot and tap it in the water. And if you could hit that floating marshmallow, then you could get to go hunting with him. But you'd had to be
I would have never went hunting with him.
You had it, and it took me and my brothers years. It was like, it was not easy, and he did it on purpose because he wanted you to be efficient with an air rifle. And it could be, I remember the first time I got to go to the stock pond, you're walking up to the stock pond, and I had my finger right next to the trigger, and he said, nope, go back. He said, your finger was touching the trigger. And I was heartbroken. But it wasn't a firearm safety. Start over. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It was firearm safety. And trigger discipline. If your finger's touching the trigger, that's not safe. And that was 4 or 5 years old. It was go back and start over. So we had to start back from the beginning. And it burned it into my head. Firearm safety, muzzle control, everything. And it was all with an air gun. So I went into the film industry, and growing up, every time I had a chance, I'd still have my air guns, go shooting. I started out in wildlife management in the film industry, chasing wildlife survival specialist, did film and television, did all that stuff. And the second I got over all the crap that the film and television industry had to offer, all the stress, all the lies, all the indigestion, I came back to have fun. I decided my wife was pregnant. We were going to have a baby. I came back to Texas. My dad was stationed at Dyess Air Force Base for 4.5, 5 years. And I remember Texas being one of the best times of my life. I told my wife, she said, I'm pregnant. I said, good, we're selling this place. We're moving back to Texas. She said, let's go. So sold everything I had, moved a wife that was 6 months pregnant to Texas. And
nice.
Couldn't have made a better life decision.
Well, how do you get to Air Force guns?
While I was filming the TV show, 2012, we were at the St. Louis NRA convention, and I'd seen Air Force air guns before, and we were filming for NRA, and one of my buddies said, hey, those guns you keep looking at online are here, the Air Force air guns. And in the middle of filming, I bolted I was literally on camera. I said, hey guys, hold on. I literally walked off set in the middle of filming and walked straight over to Air Force. And there's John McCaslin, the owner of Air Force, standing there at a booth. And I said, holy crap, I love your guys' air guns. I've got to shoot a few of them because my friends own them. Tell me more. and we started talking. And at the time, I was working on the behind the scenes on Man versus Wild I was still doing auction hunters, but I was doing the wildlife survival specialist for that show. I said, while I'm out there, I want a survival rifle. So we started talking, and that's how we came up with the Escape. Literally during that first meeting, we started discussing an air rifle. So on my first break from filming, I flew back 6 months later. John and I sat down for 3 weeks and developed the Escape air rifle after my first meeting with Airforce in 2012.
Wow.
And when I flew back to Texas, we hung out at Airforce and designed the Escape air rifle. A year later, it was launched, and they've been stuck with my ass ever since.
Well, there you go. There's that. Well, good, man. Well, that story sounds familiar. I was at SHOT Show, and I was actually talking to Joe with Predator. What is it? Predator pellets?
Yeah, Predator pellets.
And I was walking by, and he recognized me, so he's like, "Hey, big fan, whatever." So we started talking, and I said, "Well, what do you have here?" He goes, "Well, these are airgun pellets." And so I said, "Oh man, you got to tell me about airguns, because I've been kind of wanting an airgun, but I don't even know what to do, like where to even look." And he goes, "Oh, come here." So he walked me over to Airforce booth, and the rest is history, as they say.
That's where we met. I was like, and the funny thing is, I was like, after you left, I'm like, man, that guy looks familiar. And they're like, yeah, he's from shooting. I was like, no. I was like, I know him from somewhere else. It's because I have this horrible fascination with overdoing barn doors. And then I started watching the shooting and everything else. I was like, that's him. And
yeah, from my past life.
Yeah, Joe and Yvette were like, really? Something's wrong with you, ton. I said, yep, a lot. He shoots and he built buildings. We're going to get along great.
Yeah, that's what I used to do, man. It was a fun time in my life, building barn dominiums.
Yep. Yeah, and now you shoot a lot, so we're going to get along perfect.
Yes, sir. But yeah, man, it's fun. I mean, this whole air gun thing, it's fun. And we kept getting requests for half 20 threaded adapters for our tuners, and I had no idea why. I said, you know what? Enough people get, they kept saying, Amber kept saying, hey, we keep getting requests for half 20. And I said, well, we don't have it. Tell them we have half 28. That must mean half 28. They're like, no, they're saying half 20. And then another one come through, and another one. I said, okay, well, I don't know where they're using them, but hell, we'll make adapters. So we started making adapters. So when I met Yvette, she knew who I was. She said, because she's seen a lot of my tuners on air rifles. And I said, holy crap. That's where the half 20 thread comes in at. So
yep.
I don't know. It's interesting how this works.
The front of every single one of these is half 20.
Yeah, which is interesting. But anyway, yeah, so I'm glad when I got my rifle, I already had adapters made, because we've been making them. I just slapped a tuner right on there and sent it.
We need to get together and have some fun.
Yeah, for sure. I might just need to come up there, or you come down here. One or the other. Don't matter.
4.5 hours apart.
Yeah.
And in Texas, we go that far for a cheeseburger and a steak.
People don't realize that. So I just had one of my machinists. He moved down here from New York State, and he was around Buffalo area. And he said, hey, a friend of mine invited me to go rock climbing or something. He goes, but it's in, and he looks around. He goes, it's a town called Marble Falls. He goes, but it's, and I said, oh yeah, it's just right there, just right up the road. And he says, really? Because it says it's 2 hours from here. So yeah, right up the road.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the Texas way yet,
Yeah. I got to run out to Abilene. I'll be out there in 2.5, 3 hours. I got to run out there quick this morning.
Yeah. And it's because, We just say, yeah, it's just right there, right up the road. And
Yeah, if it's under 5 hours, I'll be out there in the morning.
yeah, yeah. He doesn't get us. And I said, Mitch, you do realize Texans vacation in Texas, right? Like they get on Texans get on an airplane, they get in the air for a few hours, they land, and they're still in Texas.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm just not. I just haven't fully comprehended yet. Yep,
Yeah.
that's
Well, the first time I told my wife I got a 12-hour drive, she said, "Where are you going?" I said, "To South Texas." She's like, "Oh,
yeah,
yeah, I'm going to Port Mansfield." She's like, "Oh." She's like, "That's
yeah,
still in Texas?" I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh,
yeah.
dear God."
You know, you realize this is a fun statistic. If you are in El Paso, you are closer to San Diego than you are from Houston
That's
or Beaumont, one or the other. The point is, you're
yeah,
closer to the edge of the United States than you are to the edge of Texas, the other
yeah.
edge.
People don't get that.
It's big, but
And
anyway, uh, it's all fun stuff. The Texas way, man. But yeah, sure enough, we're not that far from each other, so we'll make it happen one of these days.
yeah, we got to get together and play. And I can't wait to get you on a big bore air rifle.
Oh man, maybe I might just have to go shoot a hog with that thing.
Dude, they're all over down there.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about.
Dude, we
All
can
right,
do this.
all right, this is happening. Bring two, and you and I can go and do the 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. Because there's
It-
tons of hogs.
oh
We'll
God.
film the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
All right, it's done. It's happening.
Perfect.
All right, man. Well, thanks for being here. This is
thank you,
fun,
brother.
and I think it's only going to get more fun.
Oh man. I'm here if you need anything. Let me know, brother. I got your
All right,
back.
man. We'll do. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, later.
Late.